I'm gonna call Lucas.
Well, time to look at Twitter in the meantime.
Is Nighter here?
Yep. I'm chilling. Got
Fog.
some good sleep.
Not getting a main support in Pugs upsets me.
I mean,
I
are
also
main players real?
I expect people like who are top 500 to be like really good and like know exactly what to do.
Yeah. Our team is like better macro than like low tier 3 teams. To some extent.
That makes sense.
I might just. Actually, I don't want to start without him.
Do you open this? Hello, there we go. I need
to get his
Macro
ping.
is definitely my strength personally. Because I suck at aiming. I have like 30% accuracy on most characters. Except Anna.
I used to be all brain and no aim. Now I think I'm the other way. I think I'm kind of all aim, no brain now.
And then when you get good aim, you're able to like autopilot a lot more
Yeah.
and just like win games, so it becomes a habit.
That's why you gotta grind. Until you reach your limit.
Well, according to Blizzard, my limit is Diamond 1.
You're baiting the Lorca's respawn.
I'm trying to change my Discord profile picture, and it's taking so long. Load, man!
Tell him they gave him CC immunity. I don't know why Lorcas believes some of the crazy shit I say.
Sometimes that's just how it be.
Faster reload time. That's insane. That'll get him.
That'll get him.
That makes it believable.
Mm-hmm.
That's something they would actually do.
CC immunity while in Fireball.
He
Again.
decided to give
They
ball.
did that.
Wasn't I was
I mean,
about to say,
they are-
wasn't that the April Fool's patch?
Yeah, it
No, they
was.
literally did that. They did that in a real patch. They reduced his size.
Oh, he's here now. We summoned him with our ball patch notes.
Wait, ball patch notes?
Funny.
No, dumbass.
No way,
Late.
I'm getting trolled. Ah.
You're
I wanna
late.
flame this.
Late.
I need to get the bow in here. So
If they
I think I need
decreased
to
his
go-
size by 30%, that would be so OP. It'd be so
They
hard
already
to hit
did that
escape on them.
once.
Okay. Let's start. Can you guys see my stream?
No, because I'm not tabbed in. Hold on.
I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, yeah.
Skill issue.
Oh wow, I can see.
Is my stream turning rainbow colors like Natters?
It's fine, except okay, now it's good. It was a little bit pixely, but
it was just
it's
bit
good.
Bit weighty. You're fine right now.
You are chilling.
Okay.
I'm watching a 4K
Thank you.
Ultra HD stream right now.
Okay, so we're not going to be looking at a lot of stuff in this map, but I want to talk about one specific thing that we can be working on for about the coming week, which is just our point control. I feel like we very much lose sight about like the objective when we were trying to coordinate dives or trying to focus on everything else that's going on in these maps. And unfortunately, Overwatch is an objective-based game, and it is something that we should be at least keeping in the back of our minds while we're playing. One of the first things I want to talk about is just that when we are in the spawn room before the maps, we should be thinking about team compositions and who should be the ones primarily touching the objective, especially if they're trying to flip it. And so if like, for example, in this composition, Tracer and Ball both have like super high mobility and can easily contest objective, while the back line is playing further back where they want to be playing, and Sombra can be setting up an engage for the rest of the team. And so I just want, like, anytime we switch compositions, to be thinking about that, even communicating out loud, like asking question if you're not really sure on if you should be the one like focusing on touching the point. Because a lot of times as we switch up compositions throughout the maps, we start to lose sight of who should be on point, and then it eventually leads to everybody either trying to touch it and then wasting cooldowns and giving up good positioning, or nobody trying to touch it, which then of course gives them the objective for free. So there are a couple points in this map where I can skip to. So here they got to the point first because of speed or whatever, and we set up a nice dive. And I really like what we did here, where like Sombra and Ball and Tracer are coming in from different directions and are ready to flank and dive on somebody, while supports are back here. And this is how we normally set up on this map. Just keep in mind that as they are taking point, the support should not be the ones trying to touch. There's 3 highly mobile characters very close to point and could be in fact setting up the dive on point. And so if we play it and watch what happens, it starts with a contest and you dive and eliminate the bat very quickly. But then you all just kind of like walk backwards. And so Tracer's forced to use recall, and that's fine. It's just that means that Tracer won't be able to as easily touch the point. And so now it's up to you two, General and Lorcas, to touch. And you unfortunately always continue on the side, maybe poking a little bit, and it's like doing a little bit of pressure, or like booping the bastion or whatever. And so this eventually forces Natter to be the one who touches point, and this is what I don't want to be happening. I know, in theory, you still could have touched Lorcas or General or Mahaples. You could have all touched in this time. That Natter was still, if he was just hiding over here. But part of this is that he didn't trust you or expect you to touch. And part of it is just that it wasn't communicated on who was going to touch the point. And so Natter uses Bash to go in and is in pretty far ahead of his Zen now. And then the Brawl team turns around and just starts walking on Natter. And if they were better or smarter, they would have killed Natter there and maybe turned the fight.
Question: who did we kill again? We killed
Bastion Bap.
Bap first, then
Yeah, so
Bastion, I believe.
That's why I bashed in. I shouldn't have
Mhm.
bashed in, I should have walked in. It's because I don't think I could have died. Because if we killed Bastion, right? And we
Well,
killed
Bastion
Bap,
wasn't
yeah,
dead when you bashed in.
Oh,
It's just
okay,
Bap.
okay.
No, I think.
Okay.
Bastion.
Uh-huh.
Why can't I see Team
I'm
1?
pretty sure, yeah, the
Am I-
Bastion's dead long
And,
before that.
but Natter was
Yeah.
already in.
Okay. Yeah, right over here I think I can walk in. Because I'm just trying to pinch basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do agree with what you're saying in terms of like playing around point and like
Yeah.
keeping that in mind. But here I'm basically trying to pinch brawl.
Like
I
Lorcas
should have bashed
here,
in, though.
I think, or anywhere, like you don't have to. You're pretty much completely healthy. You're just looking for a different angle in the Bastion. Except for you could also be just keeping point in mind while you're doing that. You could have just as easily rotated this way and
Yeah,
shot
I
Bastion.
just instinctually don't like rolling into a May, but I think
Yeah.
there, without the Bastion DPS to follow up on it, and
And with good
I can
positioning
at least
from your
touch for a
supports,
little bit until
'cause, yeah, they can heal you and see you from back there. But if you
Yeah,
go
they
far
have, they
away,
have no real damage right now.
mm-hmm.
So you're not
yeah,
really
that's just me
in
playing off
much
instincts
danger.
Why do I
instead
have
of
this
actually doing what
Yeah.
I should be.
Wait, where is the Lucio? Oh, there
The
he
Lucio's
is.
on the wall right there, directly underneath the camera.
Yeah. So like, I think just here, if the Lucio was speeding, like Natter, you aren't with Song because you went in. If the Lucio is maybe speeding the Reinhardt and May onto you, Natter, you wouldn't have been able to escape if the Lucio booped you back in. I think you would have died there, since you didn't have
Yeah,
Bash.
that's why. Yeah, I messed up. I shouldn't have bashed in. I
Mhm.
should have saved bash.
But just like in general,
I
just
was
like having a clear idea of who should be touching point, who like when you should be touching point. I think it's just something we can work on. That way, we won't have random unforced errors like that.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Against this team, if I guess there's form. I'm trying to. What I was going to ask, is if our backline with the Zen poking is set up in a good spot, and ball is set up.
Here, like
Do
in this
I?
type of fight?
No. So say we're first part of the fight, and
Yeah.
we have scouted that it's against the brawl team. Because we have the crazy poke and angles from obviously we have Zen that's got the nice angle on them in open space, and then we have Tracer and Sombra who can poke. Do we need to set up for an immediate dive, or could I set up to punish and push them back and slam and dive them as they rotate on the Zen, and we just chill and let the Zen poke them out and touch point and don't hard commit and just let the poking happen, if that makes sense? Or should we go for the dive immediately?
I think, and like in general against the brawl comp, and we're gonna look at this a little bit later, is that you want to be looking for the stragglers or people who are easy to isolate. And so in this composition, the BAP gets left behind fairly often, and he becomes a very easy dive target if like all three of you are there to easily hack and burst him down. And so if you don't see, like if you're up against a better team who's playing in a more deathball comp and doesn't leave anybody behind, you can try to poke them out and utilize your range damage more, and pretty much like try to get them to walk at your supports while then you hope or you look for a mistake that they make and then punish that. And so I think it's just a very situational question.
I was just wondering in general if I should be rolling out with supports on this map maybe, and then rolling through them as they try to walk on supports so we have longer poking.
I think
Yeah.
you should just be playing with your DPS in the case that there is an early dive that can work.
Okay.
And so like here, I really like what happens with the supports where they approach this way and then you guys back out. And then as that's happening, the dive finds a isolated target, the BAP, who is left behind by his team, and just obliterates him. I think here though, again, gets a little confusing as you all go and make hero plays and get separated. Like you are pretty much a core 3 frontline that should just be deleting a given target, and yet you all go on different targets and you split up after you get that very effective first kill. And so like Lorcus is running around the Reinhardt, and I believe that's because Natter asked for help. But then Maple is just looking on the Bastion, and that leaves General, I think, fell down. But that leaves nobody to contest point, and that leaves it just means that you're going to be less efficient with your kill. Like Ball or Lorcus, you should be working with Maples on the call out on the Bastion,
Yeah, we
probably,
killed the Bastion, yeah.
and killed him faster. And
Also,
then
if I would have rolled in from the other side instead
Mm-hmm.
of rolling in from behind, if the DPS come from behind like they did and I went through the front just to push them off, our Zen might have been able to stay alive and I could have still slammed up. But yeah.
But like here, I think it would have been possible for one of you three to touch point, but you give up point again. I don't know if like that was just a lack of awareness of the fact that the objective is being taken, but it does cost you about 25% in cap.
Yeah, I think I'm going this cycle here.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure if I should be, or if we can just wrap this up. Because I think I
if
still have my
Maples-
E.
Yeah, if
I
Maples
think-
was looking for pulse, I think you don't need to. I think you just stay on point, help clean up kills, since you already got the BAP and you already got the pulse kill. Let's see. Now for a fight that I like a lot better, it's this one. I don't know what a good angle to watch this from is. But so obviously there's a little bit of, I don't know if it's okay. So they use a Mayalt to obviously force you off point, and Song uses Transcendence to continue the stall, which is fine. You double stack support ults, but again, it's fine to win the fight. And then as Song leaves point, Lorcus then like establish himself as the primary person taking control of the point and holding the objective, while General is on the flank looking for a target to kill, and Maples is behind Natter. Now, one thing you have to think about is this composition is different from what we were playing before. We lost the Tracer in exchange for a Sojourn, and so that changes the people who should be primarily touching the objective, and it makes it a lot more focused, or like the only heavily mobile character who isn't on the flanks looking for picks is Lorcus, and he won't always be able to touch. And so we have to be aware of that, and we might have to cycle who's touching between people who might not always want to be touching. So that can sometimes be Sojourn, who, although has the mobility to touch, doesn't really want to be on point and wants to instead be on like different angles, shooting from high ground, but may still have to if Lorcus has to cycle away from point.
Yeah, I think if we have Sojourn on point, we should be playing a bait Sojourn.
Mhm.
Like if Sojourn goes point, then whoever goes Sojourn, we hack that person, and then Sojourn slides away and we kill the person that went on Sojourn.
Yeah, so General finds a target over here, and so Lorcus leaves point to go to the target. And I think if you're doing that, Lorcus, you should communicate that. And I think it's like very key where the people who are supposed to be touching point by default, they don't need to really communicate that they're touching point as much. But them leaving point is very important for everybody to know. That way, the rest of the team can understand, okay, the Tracer isn't going to be able to stall point for much longer. Someone else has to step it up, and then somebody else can communicate that they're going to be the one touching point. So Natter then eventually goes and touches point, which I like, and then he's also rooting to help his Zen. And so as he's doing that, Lorcus, you get back on point, and I like this like flip-flopping of point, where Natter's just there just to stall it from flipping over, but he's trying to leave as quick as possible, and you are getting back on and maintaining yourself as the primary holder of this objective, because you are the tank and you can help set up the dive. And so that allows Natter to do what he wants, and then everybody can all go and brawl on point now that the fight has been won.
Big.
So does that make sense so far? Like what we want to be doing versus what we don't want to be doing regarding point control?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and how should I use this information as somebody who shouldn't touch point?
So the information, like you should be helping remind people, because obviously this isn't going to be something that we learn right away. It's going to take time, and it's going to take reminders, just like ult tracking takes reminders, or calling targets takes reminders. And so just communicating that, helping encourage the like pre-map communication of who should be touching point is just an important goal. And keeping it in mind will help you know, like, okay, I don't need to touch point as support. And there will be eventually an example where you should be touching point, and I'll be talking about that soon.
Okay.
I think I have one more on this map.
I think also sayings, I can orb you point, or I can give you resources point. I always try and say that with like Brig,
I was gonna say that.
Main. I can pack you, or like play main.
I guess
play
after
the
Lorcus
jungle.
touches.
Yeah.
Because I don't need orb Lorcus. I think it'd be better on like General for sure.
Yep.
Okay. This is the last one. Where is the point? Over here. So I think we just sometimes get very tunnel visioned, like on our dives. And so here, General is setting up an EMP dive, and Lorcus, you are looking to coordinate on that. And so you are hanging out here, just waiting around for the wall slam so that you can get up top and join with General. But their team kind of just walks past you and is poking you, and eventually got like halfway through point cap. And then you do join in on the dive. And I do like that you're up there with them, like with General, trying to get the kill.
I could have been
dive.
pressuring the Arista.
You could have you could have just like been standing on the point for a little bit longer, just keeping that in the back of your mind that like you can be doing both.
Yeah, I think I was just hugging the wall so I didn't get poked out, but I think I could be playing the fountain and not getting poked and contesting.
And then Natter's going to pack you, Lorcus, in general, and so that's why he's walking forward. But during this time, I know Maples, you had slide, and you could have touched point, but instead they get cap for free. And so I just don't think this needs to happen. Like this type of mistake, obviously it's a small one, but it builds up over time. Like if we keep doing this on a bunch of control maps, on escort maps, on flashpoint maps, it's going to be a lot of percent progress just lost. That doesn't need to happen. And it also leads to errors down the line. So like, for example, you then have to use ults to win back this point, which you could have been saving for later. I remember on control, which won't let me show because Busan is broken. There was an ult that Lorcas wanted to use Minefield to isolate people who walk onto point, but they instead took point before we could set up that play, and we then had to use Minefield randomly during a lost fight, which could have been saved for something that we wanted to practice more efficiently. And so I just think like keeping in mind and being more communicative about point control and just like having a general understanding of who should be touching point versus who should be further back and when that changes. Okay, let's see if Rialto decides to break.
Attackers incoming.
Let's go. Rialto's not broken.
Holy shit, I've been muted. I've been talking to myself for like 2 minutes.
Okay, wait. Did you have any questions, Maple, or no?
No, I didn't have any questions. The only thing I said was that I didn't slide to touch point because I was too scared on the last one. Because I only had like 20 health or something like that, and I was standing behind Nada, so Nada didn't see I was low, so I just didn't go to touch point until it was too late. So it was just me standing too far back. But yeah, that was all.
Yep.
I could have also, if you're talking about the one with the Orisa, there is no reason I couldn't have been on point, or even just marking the Orisa, because the Orisa, we could have almost just burned the Orisa on point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on these escort maps in general, with like the Tracer, Echo, Winston composition, the Tracer is the one pushing point. There will be a couple times throughout where people value their own positioning over the point. And this does not matter if, like, your position does not matter if you're going to be changing position once the payload gets past a certain progress and you can get it to that progress. So the specific example I'm talking about, Song, and I know that Natter called you out on this in the scrim, is here. Let's see, yeah. So you are holding this high ground, your team clears point, and then they're chasing kills. And so Natter has to join to continue pocketing the Echo in this dangerous position. And here the point gets no progress. Now, the reason why the rest of your team is holding up here, and this is why like all this point pushing stuff is situational, is because you're trying to stop them from getting past this checkpoint. That way the person who's pushing can safely push it to the checkpoint, and then you can all reset your positioning for the next point. But because nobody's pushing, you're pretty much just always standing around here doing nothing and letting them regroup and giving them time.
The reason why I didn't drop is because I didn't know exactly if it was safe or if they were going to have a quick advantage. Like, I didn't know how long our hold would be there.
So if you look at their comp, how is it not safe? Do they have any flankers?
They don't have speed or
Nope.
flankers, yeah.
So that's how I base stuff off Brig when I walk, right? Obviously Brig's a bit safer because of like you can heal me and then like pack and stuff, but the same thing can apply to Ana. Like you can walk up more if like a flanker is dead, or like let's say Winston has no jump and no bubble, right? Like stuff like that. Like you can like take more space and be more aggressive. It's obviously a little bit riskier, but yeah. Also, like I think one of the biggest things is that like Maples, whenever Maples has pulse, right? Maples can't like push cart, right? So we're like sort of betting a little bit because then Maples will then go look for a pulse and try and force things, and then if we don't push cart at all, then I think it just sort of sucks because yeah.
And so I think like being communicative
so based
about
on
that,
their comp, I can touch.
Yeah. Or just threats, right? Like
Just the status of the
just
fight.
analyze it dynamically, right? Like you're really smart. Like
if they're
like,
all
based off your
accounted
ability.
for, like assume they're playing a dive here and they're all accounted for in the choke or behind the choke, then you can probably walk up a little bit more because you're not gonna have to be paranoid of like a Tracer or Sombra coming from behind you, because you know that they're all in front of you, so they have to dive past us onto you.
I can do that.
So that was just the main thing I want to talk about today, and I want that to be just a team-wide focus also thing for today's scrim. Just being more aware and communicative about point control, so that hopefully we can stop making these like unforced errors, and then we can start looking at some of the other macro stuff that we can improve on as a team.
Yeah, cool.
Works for
Good
me.
luck.
I want to keep this short also, just so that you have time to warm up for today's scrim.
Yeah.
You have 30-ish minutes.
I'm a fan of short VODs that are to the point. I think it's good.